Hello and welcome to Nightmare Lullabies. As you settle in for the night, prepare to be immersed in a world of eerie whispers and unsettling tales, designed to both chill and soothe. Now close your eyes, relax, and let the darkness carry you away. And if these nightly tales captivate you, feel free to join our community for more whispered secrets. Soren didn't plan vacations, he fell into them. Work chewed up his days, data entry, endless screens, a cubicle that smelled like stale coffee. So when a friend bailed on a rental, he took it. Cheap, last minute, a cabin by the coast, 3 nights to breathe. He didn't care about details, packed a bag, tossed it in his hatchback, and drove, the city fading behind him. He liked things simple, quiet, no fuss, just a break from the grind. The listing promised solitude. Remote cabin, ocean view, $50 per night. Good enough. He'd been on the road since noon, a 6-hour haul from the suburbs, the sky graying as he hit the coast. His phone died an hour back, cheap charger, no signal anyway, so he followed scribbled directions. Highway 17, left at the gas station, dirt road past the pines. The rain started light, a drizzle on his windshield, the wipers squeaking slow. By 9 p.m. he found it. Cedar Point Lane, a muddy track winding through trees, the cabin squatting at the end, wood-weathered dark, a single light glowing over the porch. He parked crooked, the rain tapping his hood, and grabbed his bag, jeans, a hoodie, a few shirts, nothing fancy. The air smelled sharp, salt, pine, wet earth, as he crossed the yard, boots sinking in the muck. The porch creaked under him, the bulb buzzing faint, and he knocked, the listings note in his head. Key under mat, owner drops by. No answer, just the rain and the waves, a low rumble out past the trees. He lifted the mat, key there rusted cold, and let himself in. The cabin was small, wood walls, a sagging couch, a kitchenette with a chipped sink. The air hung heavy, damp, musty, like it hadn't been aired out in weeks. A lamp flickered on the table, casting shadows, and a note sat beside it. Welcome. Stay as you like. M. Short, sloppy handwriting, no phone number, no rules. He shrugged, $50 a night. He wasn't expecting service. He dropped his bag, sank onto the couch, the springs groaning, and listened, the rain steady, the waves rolling, a break from the grind. Sleep came slow, the couch lumpy, the rain a soft drone outside. He woke late, the sky slate gray, and brewed coffee, instant bitter, from a jar in the cupboard. The cabin felt tighter in daylight, walls scuffed, a crack in the window, the lamp still flickering. He stepped outside, the porch slick, and scanned the view. Ocean gray and choppy, trees bending in the wind, no neighbors, no noise but nature. Perfect, he thought, alone, simple, his kind of escape. He spent the day lazy, coffee, a sandwich from his cooler, a walk down the beach, the sand cold underfoot. The rain held off, but the clouds stayed thick, the waves louder by dusk. Back at the cabin, he cooked ramen on the stove, gas slow to light, and ate by the lamp, the flicker annoying now. He didn't mind roughing it, kept costs down, kept it real, but something nagged him, a itch he couldn't place. Night fell heavy, the rain picking up, tapping the roof. He scrolled his phone, charged now, still no signal, and flipped through an old paperback from the shelf, pages yellowed, binding cracked. The cabin creaked, wind, he figured, old wood settling, but the sound sharpened, a scrape from the porch. He paused, book in hand, and listened, rain, waves, then another scrape, slow, deliberate, like boots dragging. He stood, the floor cold, and crossed to the window, fogged, streaked, nothing but dark beyond. The scrape stopped, the rain steady, his pulse ticking up. He grabbed the key, checked the lock, still latched, and peered out the peephole. Empty porch, bulb swinging, shadows shifting in the wet. Wind, he muttered, sinking back to the couch, but the itch grew, a thread he couldn't pull. Sleep dodged him after that, the rain a steady hum, the couch creaking with every shift. He woke to a knock, sharp, quick, cutting the quiet. The clock said 3 a.m., the lamp still flickering, the rain softer now. He froze, breath shallow, and listened, another knock, then silence, just the waves rolling in. He got up slow, and checked the peephole again. Nothing, just the porch, the bulb dim, a puddle pooling by the mat. He opened the door, the air cold, and stepped out, key in pocket, phone in hand. The porch was empty, the yard dark, but the mat was off, shifted, like someone lifted it. He crouched, the rain tapping his hood, and flipped it back. No key, just mud, a faint smear where it had been. His stomach tightened. Someone been here late, quiet, watching. He locked up, the cabin smaller now, the lamps flicker a pulse in the dark. He sank onto the couch, the rain a soft hum, the waves a steady roll, and stared at the door. 3 nights booked, 2 left, and something waiting out there. Soren couldn't shake the mat. It stuck in his head all day, shifted muddy, the key gone, a quiet mark from that 3 a.m. knock. The cabin felt tighter now, the walls closer, the lamps flicker sharper against the dark. He'd slept fitful after that, the couch creaking, the rain a steady tap outside, his mind replaying the scrape, the knock, the empty porch. 2 nights left, $1.50 a night, cheap for solitude, but the price was climbing in ways he hadn't figured. He woke late, the sky heavy gray, the waves rolling loud beyond the trees. Coffee helped black, instant bitter, brewed slow on the stove, the gas hissing faint. He checked the door again, locked, no marks, just the mat back in place, his doing after last night. The porch was clean now, rain-washed, but the puddle lingered, a dark spot by the rail. He didn't like it, someone been there late, silent, but he brushed it off. Old cabin, old tricks, he told himself. The day dragged, coffee, a sandwich, a walk down the beach, the sand cold and wet under his boots. The rain held off, but the wind picked up, bending the pines, the ocean churning gray and restless. He stayed out till dusk, avoiding the cabin, its damp air, its creaks. Back inside, he cooked ramen again, quick, simple, the stove sputtering, and ate by the lamp, the flicker grating now, a buzz he couldn't tune out. He liked roughing it, kept it cheap, kept it real, but the itch was back, sharper, digging in. Night fell thick, the rain starting up, tapping the roof slow and steady. He tried the paperback again, cracked spine, faded ink, but the words blurred, his ears on the cabin. It creaked, wind sure would settling, but then came a thud soft from the back wall near the kitchenette. He froze, book in hand, and listened, rain, waves, then another thud like something heavy shifting. He stood, the floor cold, and crossed to the sink. Nothing, just the chipped counter, a rusted faucet, the window fogged over. He wiped it clear, the glass streaked, and peered out, dark, wet, trees swaying, no shapes, no lights. The thud stopped, the rain steady, his pulse ticking up. He checked the back door, bolted, no handle outside, just a slab of wood against the frame. Wind, he muttered, sinking back to the couch, but the itch grew. 2 nights, 2 sounds, too close to ignore. Sleep dodged him, the rain a soft hum, the lamp flickering weak. He dozed off late, the couch lumpy, and woke to a scrape, slow, deliberate, from the porch again. The clock said 2 a.m., the rain lighter now, the waves a steady roll. He sat up, breath shallow, and listened, another scrape, then a creak like weight on the boards. He grabbed his phone, charged, still no signal, and crept to the window, the glass cold against his palm. The porch was dim, bulb swinging, shadows shifting, but something moved, a shape low and quick, gone before he could lock it in. His stomach tightened. He flipped the lock, cracked the door, the air cold and wet. The porch was empty, the mat still, but the puddle was bigger, smeared, like boots had dragged through. He stepped out, the boards creaking, and scanned the yard, dark, trees bending, waves crashing faint. Nothing, just the rain, but the scrape lingered in his head. He locked up, the cabin smaller now, the lamps buzzed louder in the quiet. He sank onto the couch, phone in hand, and waited, rain, waves, no more sounds, but the itch was a knot now, tying him to the porch. He didn't sleep again, the night dragging, the rain fading by dawn. Morning came gray and still, the waves calmer, the cabin heavy with damp. He brewed coffee, slow bitter, and checked outside. The puddle was gone, the mat dry, no marks, like it had never happened. He spent the day restless, coffee, a walk, avoiding the cabin's walls. The beach was empty, the wind sharp, the ocean flat and gray. Back inside, he cooked, ramen again, and ate quick, the lamp flickering, the buzz steady now, a hum he couldn't shake. 2 nights down, 1 left, and the cabin felt alive, creaking, thudding, watching. He didn't buy the wind excuse anymore. Something was out there, close, waiting. Night fell slow, the rain picking up, tapping the roof. He sat on the couch, the paperback ignored, his ears sharp, rain, waves, then a knock, quick, from the back door. He stood, the floor cold, and crossed to the kitchenette. Another knock, sharper, the wood rattling faint. He checked the bolt, still locked, no give, and peered through the fogged window. Dark, wet, nothing but trees, but the knock came again, low, insistent. He grabbed a knife, dull, from the drawer, and held it, the rain steady, his pulse loud. "Who's there?" he called, voice rough, but the knock stopped, the silence thicker now. He waited, 5 minutes, 10 nothing, just the waves, the rain, the hum of the lamp. He sank back to the couch, knife beside him, the cabin tight, the night stretching long. Sleep came fitful, the rain a steady drone, the back door locked in his head. He woke to a creak, porch again, 4 a.m., the lamp dim. He checked, empty, wet, the mat shifted, a faint smear of mud under it. One night left, and the cabin wasn't letting go. Soren couldn't trust the cabin anymore. The knocks, the scrapes, the shifted mat, they piled up, a weight that pressed the walls in, turning his cheap getaway into something else. The lamp buzzed steady now, the couch creaked with every move, the air thick with damp and doubt. 2 nights down, 1 left, $1.50 a night for solitude, but the cost was higher, paid in sleep, in calm, in the itch that wouldn't quit. He liked simple, quiet, no fuss, but this was a tangle, and it was tightening. He woke late, the sky slate gray, the waves pounding loud beyond the trees. Coffee was routine, black, instant bitter, brewed slow on the stove, the gas hissing faint. He checked the doors, front locked, back bolted, the mat still, no mud now, but the smear lingered in his head. The porch was clean, rain washed, the puddle gone, but the cabin felt marked, thuds from the back, creaks from the front, something circling. He didn't buy the wind story, too many nights, too many sounds. The day dragged, coffee, a sandwich, a walk cut short by the rain picking up, the beach empty and cold. The wind howled, the ocean churned, gray and restless, matching the knot in his gut. Back inside he cooked ramen, quick, the stove sputtering, and ate by the lamp, the flicker of pulse now, the buzz a hum he couldn't shake. He didn't mind roughing it, kept it cheap, kept it real, but the cabin was alive, watching, waiting, and he was stuck in it. Night fell heavy, the rain pounding the roof, waves crashing close. He sat on the couch, the paperback untouched, his ears sharp, rain, wind, then a thud low from the back wall again. He stood, the floor cold, and crossed to the kitchenette, another thud, heavier like wood shifting. He checked the back door, bolted, no give, and wiped the window, the glass streaked. Dark, wet, trees bending, but a shadow flickered, tall, quick, gone before he could lock it in. His pulse ticked up. He grabbed the knife, dull but steady, and held it, the rain steady, the waves loud. "Who's out there?" he called, voice rough, but the thud stopped, the silence thick. He waited, 5 minutes, 10 nothing, just the hum, the wind, his breath fogging the glass. He sank back to the couch, knife beside him, the lamp flickering, the cabin tighter now, closing in. Sleep dodged him, the rain a steady hum, the back door burned in his mind. He dozed off late, the couch lumpy, and woke to a knock, sharp, quick, from the front this time. The clock said 1 a.m., the rain lighter, the waves a steady roll. He sat up, knife in hand, and listened, another knock, then a scrape, slow, deliberate, across the porch. He crept to the window, fogged, streaked, and peered out, bulbs swinging, shadows shifting, a shape low and still by the rail. He flipped the lock, cracked the door, the air cold and wet. The porch was empty, mat in place, no smear, but a boot print sat in the mud by the steps, fresh, deep, pointing away. His stomach tightened, he stepped out, the boards creaking, and scanned the yard, dark, trees swaying, waves crashing faint. Nothing moved, but the print stared back, a mark he couldn't unsee. He locked up, the cabin smaller, the lamps buzz louder, and sank onto the couch, knife close, the rain a soft drone. He didn't sleep again, the night stretching, the rain fading by dawn. Morning came gray and still, the waves calmer, the cabin heavy with damp. He brewed coffee, slow, bitter, and checked outside. The boot print was gone, washed away, but the mat was off again, flipped, a damp spot beneath it. He spent the day restless, coffee packing slow, his bag by the door, 1 night left, and he'd be out. The beach called, but he stayed in, wind sharp, rain threatening, the cabin his cage now. He cooked, ramen, last packet, and ate quick, the lamp flickering, the buzz a steady hum. Final night, he thought, check out tomorrow, back to the grind, away from this. But the cabin creaked, wind sure, but then a knock low from the back door, cutting the quiet. He stood, knife in hand, and crossed to the kitchenette. Another knock, sharper, the wood rattling. He checked the bolt, still locked, and peered through the fogged window, dark, wet, a shape flickering, closer now, tall and still. "Hey!" he yelled, voice hard, the knife tight in his grip. The knock stopped, the shape gone, the rain steady, his pulse loud. He waited, 10 minutes, 15, nothing, just the waves, the wind, the hum. He sank back to the couch, the cabin tight, the night dragging slow. Sleep came fitful, the rain a steady drone, the doors locked in his head. He woke to a creak, porch again, 3 a.m., the lamp dim. He checked, empty, wet, the mat shifted, a folded paper tucked beneath it. He grabbed it, the rain tapping his hood. Stay longer. M. Same sloppy handwriting, damp now, curling at the edges. One night left, and the cabin wanted more. Soren couldn't unread the note. Stay longer. M. Sloppy, damp, tucked under the mat, a plea or a push he couldn't tell. It weighed on him, the cabin tighter now, the lamps buzz a steady pulse, the walls creaking like they'd heard it too. 3 nights down, check out tomorrow, $1.50 a night for solitude, but the deal was souring, the itch a knot he couldn't untie. He liked simple, quiet, no fuss, but this was a mess and it was holding him. He barely slept, the couch springs cutting in, the rain pounding outside. Morning came wet and gray, the waves loud, the note crumpled in his pocket. Coffee was rote, black, instant bitter, brewed slow on the stove, the gas hissing faint. He checked the doors, front locked, back bolted. The mat still, no new marks, but the paper burned against his leg. He stepped outside, the porch slick, the air sharp, salt, pine, rain, and scanned the yard, dark, trees bending, nothing but the ocean's roll. The day dragged. Coffee, a sandwich, his bag packed by the door, ready to bolt. The rain held steady, the wind sharper, the beach a blur beyond the trees. He stayed in, the cabin heavy with damp, the lamp flickering, the buzz louder now, a hum he couldn't shake. He didn't mind roughing it, kept it cheap, but the knocks, the boot print, the note, they weren't wind, weren't tricks. Someone, M, was out there close marking him. Night fell thick, the rain beating the roof, waves crashing hard. He sat on the couch, knife in hand, the paperback ignored, rain, wind, then a thud sharp from the back wall. He stood, the floor cold, and crossed to the kitchenette, another thud heavier with groaning. He checked the back door, bolted, no give, and wiped the window, the glass fogged. Dark, wet, a shape flickering, tall, still closer now by the trees. His pulse spiked, he gripped the knife, the rain steady, the waves loud. Get out, he yelled, voice rough, banging the door once. The thud stopped, the shape gone, the silence thick. He waited, 5 minutes, 10, nothing, just the hum, the wind, his breath fogging the glass. He sank back to the couch, knife beside him, the lamp flickering, the cabin tighter, the note a weight in his pocket. Sleep dodged him, the rain a steady hum, the back door locked in his mind. He dozed off late, the couch lumpy, and woke to a knock, quick, low, from the front. The clock said 2 a.m., the rain lighter, the waves a steady roll. He grabbed the knife, crept to the window, fogged, streaked, and peered out, bulbs swinging, shadows shifting, a shape tall and still by the porch steps. He flipped the lock, cracked the door, the air cold and wet. Who's there? But the shape moved slow into the dark, gone. He stepped out, the boards creaking, the rain tapping his hood. Empty porch, mat in place, but a new note sat beneath it, damp, folded. He grabbed it. Stay. M. Same handwriting, shorter now, the ink smudged. His stomach tightened. He scanned the yard, dark, trees swaying, waves crashing faint. Nothing moved, but the note stared back, a hook sinking deeper. He locked up, the cabin smaller, the lamps buzz sharper, and sank onto the couch, knife close, the rain a soft drone. He didn't sleep again, the night stretching, the rain fading by dawn. Morning came gray and still, the waves calmer, the cabin heavy with damp. He brewed coffee, slow, bitter, and checked outside. The porch was clean, no prints, but the mat was off, flipped again, a faint scratch on the wood beneath it. He packed quick, bag zipped, keys in hand, check out by noon, but the notes burned, 2 now, pleading or warning, he couldn't tell. He skipped the beach, wind sharp, rain threatening, the cabin his jail now. He ate, crumbs from the cooler, no ramen left, and sat by the lamp, the flicker a pulse, the buzz a hum he felt in his chest. Final hours, he thought. Out soon, back to the grind, free of this. But the cabin creaked. Wind, sure, then a knock low from the back door, cutting the quiet. He stood, knife in hand, and crossed to the kitchenette. Another knock, sharper, the wood rattling. He checked the bolt, still locked, and peered through the fogged window, dark, wet, a shape closer, tall and still, by the back step. Leave me alone, he yelled, voice hard, the knife tight in his grip. The knock stopped, the shape moved, slow, deliberate, into the trees, gone. He waited, 10 minutes, 15, nothing, just the waves, the wind, the hum. He sank back to the couch, the cabin tight, the notes heavy in his pocket. Sleep came fitful, the rain a steady drone, the doors locked in his head. He woke to a creak, porch again, 4 a.m., the lamp dim. He checked. Empty, wet, the match shifted, a third note beneath it. You're staying. M. Same scrawl, damp, the ink bleeding. He stared, the rain tapping, the cabin holding him, checkout hours away. Soren couldn't shake the notes. 3 now. Stay longer. Stay. You're staying. Sloppy damp piling up in his pocket, a pull he couldn't dodge. The cabin pressed in tighter, the lamps buzz a hum in his bones, the walls creaking like they'd claimed him. 4 nights down, checkout today, $50 a night for solitude, but the price was steep, paid in sleepless hours, in the knot that wouldn't loosen. He liked simple, quiet, no fuss, but this was a trap, and it wasn't letting go. He didn't sleep, the couch springs cutting in, the rain pounding outside. Morning came wet and heavy, the waves roaring. The third note crumpled in his hand. Coffee was a lifeline, black, instant bitter, brewed slow on the stove, the gas hissing faint. He checked the doors, front locked, back bolted. The mat still, no new marks, but the words burned. You're staying, like Em knew he wouldn't leave. He stepped outside, the porch slick, the air sharp, salt, rain, pine, and scanned the yard, dark, trees thrashing, the ocean churning wild. The day dragged, coffee, his bag by the door, keys in pocket, checkout at noon. The rain beat hard, the wind howling, the beach invisible beyond the trees. He stayed in, the cabin thick with damp, the lamp flickering, the buzz louder now, a pulse he couldn't shake. He didn't mind roughing it, kept it cheap, but the knocks, the shape, the notes, they weren't tricks, weren't wind. Em was out there, close, pushing him to stay, and the cabin was in on it. Morning stretched thin, the rain a steady roar, waves crashing loud. He sat on the couch, knife in hand, the notes spread out, 3 damp, ink bleeding. A thud hit, sharp, from the back wall, cutting the quiet. He stood, the floor cold, and crossed to the kitchenette. Another thud, heavy, with groaning loud. He checked the back door, bolted, no give, and wiped the window, the glass fogged. Dark, wet, a shape, tall, still, stood by the step, closer than ever, rain streaking its edges. His pulse spiked, he gripped the knife, the rain loud, the waves pounding. Get out of here, he yelled, banging the door hard. The shape didn't move, just stood steady, then stepped back, slow, into the trees, gone. He waited, 5 minutes, 10, nothing, just the hum, the wind, his breath fogging the glass. He sank back to the couch, knife beside him, the lamp flickering, the cabin tighter, the notes a weight he couldn't drop. Sleep was gone, the rain a steady hum, the back door locked in his mind. He paced, couch to door to sink, counting hours till noon. A knock hit quick, low, from the front. The clock said 10 a.m., the rain lighter, the waves a steady roll. He grabbed the knife, crept to the window, fogged, streaked, and peered out, bulb off, shadows shifting, a shape tall and still by the porch rail. He flipped the lock, cracked the door. What do you want? But the shape turned slow into the yard, gone. He stepped out, the boards creaking, the rain tapping his hood. Empty porch, mat in place, but a 4th note sat beneath it. Don't go. M. Same scrawl, wet, the ink fresh. His stomach tightened. He scanned the yard, dark, trees bending, waves crashing loud. Nothing moved, but the note hooked him, a plea turning sharp. He locked up, the cabin smaller, the lamps buzz a drone, and sank onto the couch, knife close, the rain a steady beat. He didn't sit long, 11 a.m., 1 hour left, the rain fading, the waves calmer. He brewed coffee, slow, bitter, checked outside. The porch was wet, no prints, but the mat was off again, a faint scratch deeper on the wood. He grabbed his bag, keys in hand, ready to roll, but the cabin creaked, a knock hit the back door, low, insistent. He crossed quick, knife up, another knock, the wood rattling. Leave me alone, he yelled, voice hard, the rain picking up. The knock stopped, he peered through the fogged window, dark, wet, the shape back, tall and still, closer, by the step again. I'm out, he shouted, banging the glass. The shape moved, slow, deliberate, toward the trees, but paused, turning, a glint of eyes catching the light, then gone. He waited, 10 minutes, 15, nothing, just the waves, the wind, the hum. He sank back to the couch, the cabin tight, the notes heavy, for now, piling up. Checkout loomed, noon, minutes away, the rain a steady drone, the doors locked in his head. He stood, bag over his shoulder, and checked the front. Empty, wet, the mat shifted, a 5th note beneath it. You'll stay. M. Same handwriting, damp, the ink bold. He stared, the rain tapping, the cabin holding him, noon ticking closer, but the pull was thick. He grabbed the notes, stuffed them in his bag, and headed out. Keys in hand, the porch creaking, the rain cold. The car started slow, wipers squeaking, the cabin dark behind him. But a shape stood by the trees, tall, still, watching as he pulled away. Soren couldn't outrun the shape. It stood by the trees, tall, still, eyes glinting. As he pulled away, the cabin shrinking in his rear view, the notes heavy in his bag. 5 of them. Stay longer. Stay. You're staying. Don't go. You'll stay. A chain he'd snapped, or so he thought. The car hummed, wipers squeaking, the rain light now, the waves a faint echo behind him. 4 nights, $50 each. Cheap solitude turned sour, and he was done. He liked simple, quiet, no fuss, but this was a mark, and it clung. He drove steady, the dirt road muddy, the pines bending in the wind. Noon hit as he passed the gas station, gray, empty, the clerk barely glancing up. His phone buzzed, signal back weak, texts from work piling in, but he ignored them. The cabin faded, the rain a soft hum, the shape locked in his head. Watching, waiting, M's last stand. He didn't stop. Highway 17 stretched ahead, 6 hours to the city, the grind waiting to swallow him again. The day dragged, coffee cold in a thermos, a sandwich gone soggy, the road blurring gray. The rain held off, the sky clearing slow, the ocean lost behind him. He replayed it, knocks, thuds, the boot print, the notes, 5 nights of M, whoever that was pushing him to stay. He didn't get it, cheap rental, remote spot, why him? But the shape by the trees said enough. Someone been there, close, counting his moves, and the cabin had let them in. He stopped once, gas, a quick stretch, the air sharp and cold. The station was dead, pump creaking, clerk scrolling his phone, and Soren checked his bag, the notes still there, damp, ink smudged, a weight he couldn't shake. He tossed them in a trash bin, 5 scraps, M's words sinking into the muck, and drove on, the rain gone, the waves a memory, the cabin hours behind. Checkout was noon, he'd made it, but the itch lingered, a thread he couldn't cut. Night fell slow, the highway quiet, the city lights faint on the horizon. He got home late, 10 p.m., his place small, stale, the grind waiting tomorrow. He dropped his bag, sank onto his couch, springs creaking familiar, and brewed coffee black, instant bitter, to settle his nerves. The cabin was gone, 4 nights, $50 each, a deal he'd never take again. But the shape stuck, tall and still, eyes glinting in the dark. Sleep came fitful, the couch lumpy, the city hum outside. He woke late, the sky gray, work looming, and unpacked slow, jeans, hoodie, the notes missing, trashed miles back. He checked his phone, signals strong, emails piling, and scrolled the rental site, curious, restless. The listing was down, remote cabin, ocean view, $50 per night. Gone, no trace, like it had never been. He Googled Cedar Point Lane, nothing, just a stretch of coast, no cabins, no reviews. The day dragged, coffee, a shower, back to the grind, data entry chewing his hours. He didn't talk about it, work didn't care, friends wouldn't get it, but the cabin stayed, a hum in his head, the shape by the trees watching. He ate, ramen quick, and sank onto the couch, the city noise a steady drone, the notes gone but heavy. 4 nights, 5 notes, M's push, over, he told himself, done. A week passed, work, sleep, the usual, but the itch crept back, sharp, late at night. He scrolled again, rental sites, cheap getaways, nothing like the cabin, but a new listing hit. Coastal retreat, $40 per night, secluded. Different site, different road, same vibe, remote, cheap, a pull he knew too well. He clicked, photos blurry with walls, a lamp flickering, and paused, the hum in his head louder, the shape flickering in his mind. He texted, still up? And got, yes. Book it. No name, just a link, quick and blunt. He stared, the city hum outside, the couch creaking, and closed his phone. 4 nights were enough, 5 notes too many. He didn't book it, deleted the app, tossed the idea, but the itch stayed, M's eyes glinting, the cabin's mark holding tight. Months later, he drove past, Highway 17, a detour, the gas station still gray, the dirt road unmarked. He slowed, Cedar Point Lane muddy, winding, the cabin squatting there, dark, no light, no car. He stopped, the rain gone, the waves faint, and watched, empty still, but a shape stood by the trees, tall and still, eyes catching the dusk. He drove off, the road stretching, the city pulling him back, the cabin left behind. His place stayed the same, small, stale, the grind unbroken, but sometimes late at night he'd hear it. A knock low from the door, the hum of the lamp flickering back. He'd check, empty, quiet, but the shape lingered, M's notes echoing, the vacation he couldn't leave. Lena didn't chase luxury, she hunted deals. Vacations were rare. Her job at the call center drained her, endless scripts, headsets pinching. So when she and Jace snagged a week off, they went cheap. A road trip, no plans, just a car and a budget, $60 a night max. She scrolled booking sites late, Jace snoring beside her, and found it. Motel Haven, $55 per night, quiet, clean, near downtown. Photos showed a low brick building and neon sign, a room with 2 beds, basic, good enough. She booked it, 3 nights, no fuss, a break from the grind. They left early, her hatchback rattling, Jace navigating with a gas station map, phone spotty, data low. The city faded, highways turned to backroads, the sky graying as they neared the coast. Rain started light, a drizzle on the windshield, the wipers thumping slow. By 6 p.m. they hit town, a sleepy strip, diners appear, the motel squatting off the main drag, brick faded, the Haven sign buzzing faint. They parked crooked, the lot half empty, rain tapping the roof, and grabbed their bags, clothes, snacks, nothing fancy. The lobby was dim, carpet worn, a desk clerk hunched over a ledger, her hair gray, eyes sharp. "Reservation?" she said, voice low, clipped. Lena nodded. 3 nights under boss, and handed over her card. The clerk swiped it slow, her nails clicking the keys, and slid a key across, room 12, brass scratched. "Down the hall left," she said, eyes flicking up, holding Lena's a beat too long. Jace shrugged. "Thanks." And they headed out, the rain a steady hum outside. The hall stretched long, flickering fluorescence, walls scuffed, a hum from the AC unit overhead. Room 12 was at the end, door chipped, number crooked, and the key stuck, grinding before it turned. Inside was tight, 2 beds, thin sheets, a dresser with a cracked mirror, a window fogged over. The air smelled stale, mothballs, damp carpet, but the AC buzzed low, cool, cutting the heat. Lena dropped her bag, sank onto a bed, springs creaking, and exhaled. "Cheap, quiet, there's for 3 nights. Jace tested the other bed. "Not bad." And flipped the TV, static, then a weather channel, rain forecast all week. They unpacked light, jeans, tees, a bag of chips, and ate quick, the rain tapping the window, the AC humming steady. Lena liked it simple, low cost, no frills, but the room felt off, the mirror catching her eye, the hum too loud in the quiet. She shook it off, tired, long drive, $55 a night didn't buy charm. Night fell slow, the rain picking up, drumming the roof. They walked out, diner across the street, greasy burgers, coffee week but hot. The town was dead, lights dim, streets slick, the pier dark beyond the motel. Back in room 12, the AC buzzed louder, the beds creaking as they settled. Jace crashed fast, snoring soft, but Lena lay awake, the rain a steady drone, the mirror glinting in the corner, the hum sinking into her head. Sleep came late, the bed stiff, the room tight. She woke to a knock, sharp, quick, cutting the quiet. The clock glowed 3 a.m., the rain lighter, the AC humming low. She sat up, breath shallow, and listened, another knock, then silence, just the hum, the distant waves. Jace stirred. "What's that?" Voice thick, but she shushed him, creeping to the door. The peephole showed nothing. Hall empty, lights flickering, shadows still. She cracked the door, the air cool and wet. "Hello." But the hall stretched long, no one, just the hum louder now, echoing off the walls. She locked it, the bolt clicking, and sank back to bed, Jace already out again. The knock stuck, sharp, real, not the rain. And the room felt smaller, the mirror reflecting the dark, the AC a buzz she couldn't shake. Morning came gray, the rain steady, the waves faint through the window. She brewed coffee, instant, from a packet in her bag, bitter, scalding, a jolt to her nerves. Jace stretched. "Sleep okay?" And she shrugged, heard a knock, weird. But he laughed it off. Old place, pipes or something. She nodded, sipping slow, but the knock wasn't pipes, wasn't rain. The hall had been empty, the sound too close. They spent the day out, coffee at the diner, a walk by the pier, the rain light but cold. The town stayed quiet, shops half open, locals scarce, the motel looming back at the lot. Room 12 waited, beds unmade, the mirror glinting, the AC humming low. 3 nights booked, 2 left, and the knock lingered, a thread she couldn't pull. Lena couldn't shake the knock. It stuck with her all day, sharp, quick, cutting through the 3 a.m. quiet of room 12, a sound the empty hall couldn't explain. The motel felt tighter now, the mirror glinting odd, the AC's buzz a hum she couldn't tune out. 2 nights left, $55 a night, a steal for a break, but the deal was fraying, the room closing in. She liked cheap, simple, no frills, but this was a snag and it was growing. She woke late, the sky gray, the rain tapping steady outside. Coffee helped, instant bitter, brewed in a chipped mug from the dresser. The AC humming low, cooling the damp air. Jace stretched. Rough night. And she nodded. That knock, not pipes, but he shrugged. Old place, weird stuff. She sipped slow, the mug warm. But the knock wasn't old pipes, wasn't rain. It was close, real, and the hall had been dead. The day dragged, coffee at the diner, a walk cut short by the rain picking up, the pier slick and cold. The town stayed quiet, diners half full, the motel's brick face looming back at the lot. Room 12 waited, beds creased, the mirror catching light, the AC buzzing louder now, a drone in the walls. They ate, chips, a sandwich from the cooler, the rain a steady hum, the TV static again, Jace flipping channels to nothing. Lena didn't mind basic, kept costs down, but the room felt heavy, the hum sinking in. Night fell thick, the rain pounding the roof, the AC steady. They walked out, diner again, fries and weak coffee, the town dark beyond the windows. Back in room 12, Jace crashed fast, snoring soft, but Lena sat up, the beds creaking, the mirror glinting in the corner, the hum sharper now, a buzz she felt in her chest. She tried reading, a flyer from the dresser, crumpled, but the words blurred, her ears on the room. Rain, hum, then a creak slow from the hall. She froze, flyer in hand, and listened, another creak, then a knock low from the door. The clock glowed 2 a.m., the rain lighter, the AC humming loud. She nudged Jace. Hear that? Voice low, but he groaned. Sleep, babe, and rolled over. She crept to the door, breath shallow, and checked the peephole. Hall empty, lights flickering, shadows still. The knock came again, sharper, closer, then stopped, the silence thick, the hum filling it. She cracked the door, the air cool and wet. Anyone there? But the hall stretched long, no one, just the AC's buzz echoing off the walls. She locked it, the bolt clicking, and sank back to bed, the mirror reflecting the dark, the knock a weight she couldn't shake. Jace slept through, snoring steady, but the room felt smaller, the hum a pulse, the hall waiting outside. Sleep came fitful, the bed stiff, the rain a steady drone, the knock locked in her head. Morning came gray, the rain steady, the AC humming low. She brewed coffee, slow bitter, the mug chipped, the warmth grounding her. Jace yawned. You okay? And she frowned. Knocked again, 2 a.m. But he laughed. Ghosts now. And she didn't push it. The hall was empty, the knock real, she knew it. But Jace didn't feel it, didn't hear the room tightening. She sipped, the rain tapping, the hum steady, 2 nights down, 1 left. They spent the day out, diner breakfast, a drive along the coast, the rain light but cold. The town stayed dead, shops closed, the pier dark, the motel pulling them back. Room 12 sat unchanged, beds unmade, the mirror glinting, the AC buzzing louder, a hum she couldn't dodge. They ate, crumbs from the cooler, chips stale now. The rain a soft hum, the TV dead, Jace flipping switches to static. Lena didn't mind roughing it, kept it cheap, but the knocks, the hum, the room, they were piling up. Night fell slow, the rain picking up, drumming the roof. Jace showered, water sputtering, pipes groaning, and crashed, the bed creaking, snoring fast. Lena lay awake, the AC humming sharp, the mirror catching the dark, the rain a steady beat. She listened, rain, hum, then a creak slow from the hall again. She sat up, breath shallow, another creak, then a knock quick from the door. The clock said 1 a.m., the rain loud, the hum a buzz in her ears. She grabbed her phone, no signal, just light, and crept to the door, the peephole fogged, hall empty, lights dim, shadows shifting. The knock hit again, low, insistent, then a scrape slow like nails on wood. She cracked the door. Who's there? Voice sharp, the air cold, but the hall was dead, the hum louder, echoing long. She locked it, the bolt heavy, and sank back to bed, the mirror glinting, the knock a hook sinking deeper. Lena couldn't ignore the knocks anymore. They piled up, sharp at 3 a.m., low at 2 a.m., quick at 1 a.m., each one tighter, pinning her to room 12, a rhythm she couldn't shake. The motel squeezed in, the mirror glinting sharp, the AC's buzz a hum that dug into her chest. 2 nights down, 1 left, $1.55 a night, a cheap escape, but the deal was twisting, the room holding fast. She liked simple, low cost, no frills, but this was a cage, and it was locking. She woke late, the sky slate gray, the rain drumming steady outside. Coffee was a crutch, instant bitter, brewed in the chipped mug, the AC humming loud, cooling the stale air. Jace stretched. You're jumpy. And she frowned. Knocks again, 1 a.m. But he shrugged. Old walls relax. She sipped slow, the mug warm, but the knocks weren't walls, weren't rain. They were close, real, and the hall stayed empty every time. The day dragged. Coffee at the diner, a walk cut short by the rain, the pier cold and slick. The town was dead, diners quiet, the motel's brick bulk pulling them back. Room 12 waited. Beds creased, the mirror catching shadows, the AC buzzing sharper now, a drone in the walls. They ate, stale chips, a sandwich gone soft, the rain a steady hum, the TV static, Jace flipping channels to nothing. Lena didn't mind basic, kept it cheap, but the room was alive, humming, knocking, and she felt it. Night fell heavy, the rain pounding the roof, the AC steady. They walked out, diner again, burgers greasy, coffee thin, the town dark, the motel's sign buzzing faint. Back in room 12, Jace showered, pipes groaning, and crashed fast, snoring soft, the bed creaking. Lena sat up, the AC humming loud, the mirror glinting in the dark, the rain a steady beat. She listened, rain hum, then a creak slow from the hall, sharper now, closer. She froze, breath shallow, another creak, then a knock low from the door. The clock glowed 12 a.m., the rain loud, the hum a buzz in her ears. She nudged Jace. Wake up! Voice tight, but he mumbled. Sleep, and rolled over. She grabbed her phone, no signal, light dim, and crept to the door, the peephole fogged. Hall empty, lights flickering, shadows shifting. The knock hit again, quick, insistent, then a scrape, slow, dragging across the wood. She cracked the door. Who's there? Voice sharp, the air cold and wet, but the hall stretched long, no one, the hum echoing off the walls. She locked it, the bolt heavy, and sank back to bed, the mirror reflecting the dark, the knock a weight she couldn't drop. Jace slept through, snoring steady, but the room shrank, the hum a pulse, the hall pressing in. Sleep came fitful, the bed stiff, the rain a steady drone, the scrape locked in her head. Morning came gray, the rain steady, the AC humming loud. She brewed coffee, slow, bitter, the mug chipped, the warmth fading fast. Jace yawned. Last night, huh? And she nodded. Knocked at midnight, scraped the door. He frowned. You sure? And she snapped. I'm not dreaming this. He didn't push it, but the hall was empty, the knock real. She felt it, and the room was tightening, counting down. They spent the day out, diner breakfast, a drive to the pier, the rain cold and sharp. The town stayed quiet, shops shut, the motel looming back at the lot. Room 12 sat unchanged, beds unmade, the mirror glinting, the AC buzzing louder, a hum she couldn't shake. They ate, crumbs from the cooler, chips gone, the rain a soft hum, the TV dead, Jace flipping switches to static. Lena didn't mind roughing it, kept it cheap, but the knocks, the scrape, the room, they were closing in. Night fell slow, the rain picking up, drumming the roof. Jace showered, water sputtering, and crashed, the bed creaking, snoring fast. Lena lay awake, the AC humming sharp, the mirror catching the dark, the rain a steady beat. She listened, rain, hum, then a creak quick from the hall again. She sat up, another creak, then a knock, sharp, from the door. The clock said 11 p.m., the rain loud, the hum a buzz in her chest. She grabbed her phone, light only, and crept to the door, the peephole fogged, hall empty, lights dim, shadows shifting. The knock hit again, low, steady, then a voice, low, muffled. Stay. She froze, breath caught. What? Voice shaking, but the hall was dead, the hum louder, swallowing the sound. She locked it, the bolt clicking, and sank back to bed, the mirror glinting, the word stay a hook in her head. Lena couldn't unhear the voice. Stay. Low, muffled, slipping through the 11 p.m. knock, a word that stuck like damp air in room 12. The motel pressed closer, the mirror glinting cold, the AC's buzz a hum that clawed into her skull. 3 nights down, check out tomorrow, $1.55 a night, a cheap break, but the deal was a trap, the room locking tight. She liked simple, low cost, no fuss, but this was a pull, and it was sinking deeper. She barely slept, the bed stiff, the rain pounding outside. Morning came wet and gray, the AC humming loud, the voice echoing in her head. Coffee was a lifeline, instant bitter, brewed in the chipped mug, the warmth fading fast. Jace stretched. You're pale. And she frowned. Heard a voice last night, said stay. He paused. A voice. Voice low, but then shrugged. Dreaming, babe. She sipped slow, the mug cold, but it wasn't a dream. The hall was empty, the word real, and the room held it. The day dragged. Coffee at the diner, a walk skipped, the rain too heavy, the pier lost in the blur. The town stayed dead, diners quiet, the motel's brick bulk pulling them back. Room 12 waited, beds creased, the mirror catching shadows, the AC buzzing sharper, a drone she couldn't shake. They ate, crumbs from the cooler, chips dust now. The rain a steady hum, the TV static, Jace flipping switches to nothing. Lena didn't mind basic, kept it cheap, but the knocks, the scrape, the voice, they were piling up, tightening the walls. Morning stretched thin, the rain a steady roar, the AC loud. She sat on the bed, phone in hand, no signal, just light, the knocks replaying, 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 11 p.m., each one closer, sharper. A creak hit, slow, from the hall, cutting the quiet. She stood, the floor cold, and checked the peephole. Hall empty, lights flickering, shadows shifting. Another creak, then a knock, low, from the door. The clock said 10 a.m., the rain loud, the hum a buzz in her chest. She cracked the door. Who's there? Voice sharp, the air cold and wet, but the hall stretched long, no one, the hum echoing off the walls. She locked it, the bolt heavy, and sank back to bed, Jace stirring. What now? Voice thick. Knocked again, 10 a.m., she said, and he frowned. Daytime too? But didn't push it. The room shrank, the mirror glinting, the hum a pulse, the hall pressing in. She didn't sleep, paced, bed to door, the voice stay a hook she couldn't shake. Noon hit, the rain steady, the AC humming sharp. They packed slow, bags by the door, check out at 2 p.m., but the motel felt heavier, the walls tighter. Jace showered, pipes groaning, and dressed, the bed creaking as he sat. Lena brewed coffee, slow, bitter, the mug chipped, the warmth gone. A knock hit quick from the door, the clock said 1 p.m., the rain loud, the hum steady. She froze, again, voice low, and Jace stood. I'll check. He cracked the door. Hello. The hall empty, lights dim, the hum louder now, swallowing the quiet. He stepped out. Nothing. Voice flat, but paused. Wait, something's off. She followed, the hall stretched long, doors shut, but the numbers blurred, 10, 11, 12, then 12 again, a loop she hadn't seen. What the hell? Jace said, and she grabbed his arm, back inside. They locked it, the bolt clicking, the room smaller, the mirror glinting cold. Checkout loomed, 2 p.m., minutes away, the rain a steady drone, the AC buzzing loud. Jace paced, that hall's wrong. And she nodded. Knock's voice now this. The room tightened, the hum a pulse, the mirror reflecting the dark. A creak hit, slow, from the hall. Then a knock, sharp, the clock ticking to 1:30 p.m. She grabbed her phone, light only, and checked the peephole. Hall empty, shadows shifting, but a shape flickered, low, quick, gone. She cracked the door. Leave us alone. Voice hard, the air cold, but the hall was dead, the hum sharper, a buzz she felt in her teeth. She locked it, Jace beside her. We're out. And they grabbed their bags, the room heavy, the mirror watching. The knock hit again, low, steady, then the voice muffled. Stay. Lena froze. You hear that? And Jace nodded. Yeah, voice tight, the rain loud, the hum swallowing the word. They stood, bags in hand, the clock at 1:45 p.m., the rain a steady beat. The door creaked, slow on its own, the bolt still locked, the hum louder, the mirror glinting sharp. Let's go, Jace said, voice hard, and they stepped out, the hall long, numbers looping, 12, 12, 12, rain tapping, the AC buzzing behind them. Lena couldn't escape the voice. Stay. Muffled, steady, threading through the knocks, now a weight that pinned her and Jace to room 12. The motel squeezed tight, the mirror glinting cold. The AC's buzz a hum that sank into her bones. 4 nights down, check out today. $1.55 a night, a cheap getaway, but the deal was a snare, the room clinging hard. She liked simple, low cost, no fuss, but this was a grip, and it wouldn't let go. They didn't sleep, the beds creaking, the rain pounding outside. Morning came wet and heavy, the AC humming sharp, the hall's loop, 12, 12, 12 burned in their heads. Coffee was a lifeline, instant bitter, brewed in the chipped mug, the warmth gone fast. Jace paced. That hall's messed up. And she nodded. Knock's voice now numbers. He frowned. We're out now. But the room held them, the hum a pulse, the mirror watching. Checkout was 2 p.m., bags packed, keys in hand. But the clock stuck at 1:45 p.m., the rain a steady roar, the AC loud. A knock hit, low, from the door, cutting the quiet. Lena froze, again, voice tight, and Jace grabbed his bag. Screw this. He cracked the door. Hall empty, lights flickering, numbers looping, 12, 12, 12, the hum sharper now, echoing long. He stepped out. Lobby's that way. Pointing left, but the hall stretched, doors shut, the end blurring in the dim. She followed, bags heavy, the rain tapping, the hall cold, the AC buzzing behind them. They walked, fast, doors passing. 10, 11, 12, then 12 again, a circle tightening. Jace stopped. This isn't right. Voice low, and she grabbed his arm. Keep going. The hum grew, the lights flickered, the hall looping. 12, 12, 12. No lobby, no exit, just the motel's grip. A creak hit, slow, behind them, then a knock, sharp, from a door marked 12. Lena turned. Back? But Jace shook his head. Forward. They pushed on. Rain loud, the hum a buzz in her chest. Until the hall bent. A corner they hadn't seen. The lobby faint ahead, desk dim, clerk gone. They reached it. Carpet worn, air stale. The clock said 1:50 p.m., the rain drumming outside. Jace dropped the key. We're done. Voice hard, but the ledger sat open, their names scratched. Voss, room 12, extended. What the hell? Lena snapped. 3 nights, that's it. She flipped the page. Voss, room 12, extended. Same scrawl, ink fresh, dates stretching a week. Jace frowned. They messed up. But the lobby was dead, the clerk missing, the hum louder now, spilling from the hall. A knock hit, low, from behind the desk, the rain steady, the clock ticking to 1:55 p.m. She grabbed her phone. No signal, light dim, and checked the door. Lot empty, their car there, rain streaking the glass. They stepped out, bags in hand, the air cold and wet, but the hall creaked, a voice. Stay. Muffled low, drifting from room 12's direction. Jace froze. You hear that? And she nodded, again. The motel loomed, the sign buzzing faint, the rain a steady beat. They crossed the lot, fast, mud splashing, the car close, but a shape flickered, tall, still, by the motel's edge, gone in the blur. The car started, slow, wipers squeaking, the rain loud, the motel dark behind them. Jace drove. Lobby's wrong, hall's wrong. Voice tight, and Lena clutched her bag. Extended, they rode extended. The hum faded, the rain a soft hum, the town slipping past, diners pier, the motel shrinking. Checkout was 2 p.m., they'd made it, but the voice stuck. Stay. A hook they couldn't shake. They didn't stop, highway stretching, the rain easing, the coast fading. The day dragged, coffee cold, the car rattling, the city hours off. Lena checked her phone, signal weak, booking app glitching. Motel Haven, $55 per night. Still there, their stay marked completed. She frowned, says we're done. But Jace gripped the wheel. That ledger said different. The rain stopped, the hum gone, but the motel lingered, the loop in their heads. Night fell slow, the city close, their place waiting, small, stale, the grind tomorrow. They unpacked, bags light, the mug left behind, and brewed coffee, black, bitter, to settle the edge. The knocks, the voice, the hall. 3 nights, $55 each, a deal they'd never take again, but the shape by the motel stuck, tall and still, watching them go. Lena couldn't drop the motel. Room 12 clung to her. The knocks, the voice, the hall's endless loop. A weight that followed them off the lot, the shape by the edge watching them go. The car rattled, wipers squeaking slow, the rain a faint tap now, the hum of the AC left behind. 4 nights, $55 each. Cheap escape turned trap, and they'd broken free, or so they hoped. She liked simple, low cost, no fuss, but this was a mark, and it stuck. They drove steady, the highway stretching, the coast fading in the gray. Jace gripped the wheel. That place was wrong. Voice low, and she nodded. Ledger said extended, app said done. Her phone buzzed, signal back weak. Texts from work piling, but she swiped them off. The motel shrank, rain easing, the shape locked in her head, tall, still, a shadow that didn't move. Checkout was 2 p.m., they'd cleared it, but the voice, stay, echoed, a thread they couldn't cut. The day dragged, coffee cold in a thermos, a sandwich stale, the road blurring gray. The rain stopped, the sky clearing slow, the town lost behind them. She replayed it, knocks at 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 11 p.m., the scrape, the voice, the hall looping 12, 12, 12, 4 nights of something pushing them to stay. She didn't get it. Cheap motel, quiet spot, why them? But the ledger's extended said enough. Someone something had counted them in, and room 12 had held tight. They stopped once, gas, a quick break, the air sharp and cold. The station was quiet, pump creaking, clerk scrolling his phone, and Lena checked her bag, empty but for clothes, the chipped mug left behind. Jace tossed the key in a bin. Gone. Voice flat, but the motel lingered, the halls looped, the voices pull. They drove on, the rain gone, the hum faded, the city hours off, checkout behind them, but the shape by the edge stuck, watching, waiting. Night fell slow, the highway quiet, city lights glinting ahead. They got home late, 10 p.m., their place small, stale, the grind waiting tomorrow. She dropped her bag, sank onto the couch, springs creaking familiar, and brewed coffee, black bitter, to steady her nerves. Jace paced. No more motels, and she nodded. Never again. 4 nights, $55 each, a deal they'd paid too much for. But the shape stayed tall and still, eyes glinting in her mind. Sleep came fitful, the couch lumpy, the city hum outside. She woke late, the sky gray, work looming, and unpacked slow, jeans, tees, no trace of room 12. Jace checked the app. Motel Haven, $55 per night. Gone, listing down, no reviews, no sign. She Googled it. Nothing, just a vague address, a brick building off the strip, no name, no history. The motel was a ghost, 4 nights, 5 knocks, a voice, and they'd walked out, but the mark held. The day dragged, coffee, a shower, back to the grind, calls chewing her hours. She didn't talk about it, work didn't care, friends wouldn't buy it. But room 12 hummed in her head, the shape by the edge watching. They ate, ramen quick, and sank onto the couch, the city noise a steady drone, the motel miles back, the voice quiet now. For nights, 1 word. Stay. Over, she told herself, done. A week passed, work, sleep, routine, but the itch crept back sharp late at night. She scrolled, booking sites, cheap stays, nothing like Motel Haven, but a new ad hit. Coastal Inn, $50 per night, quiet. Different app, different town, same vibe, low brick, neon sign, a room with 2 beds. She clicked, photos blurry, a mirror glinting, an AC unit humming, and paused, the hum in her head louder, the shape flickering in the dark. She texted, available? And got, yes. Book now. No name, just a link, short and sharp. She stared, the city hum outside, the couch creaking, and closed her phone. 4 nights were too many, 1 stay enough. She didn't book, deleted the app, let it go. But the itch stayed, the shape's eyes glinting, room 12's grip lingering. Months later, they drove past. Different route, a detour, the strip quiet, the motel's lot unmarked. She slowed, Motel Haven, brick faded, sign dark, no cars. Jace watched. It's dead. Voice low, but a shape stood by the edge, tall, still, eyes catching the dusk, then gone. She drove off, the highway stretching, the city pulling them back, room 12 left behind. Their place stayed the same. Small, stale, the grind unbroken, but sometimes late at night she'd hear it. A knock low from the door, the hum of the AC flickering back. She'd check, empty, quiet, but the shape lingered, stay echoing, the vacation they couldn't leave. Cale didn't chase crowds, he craved edges. Vacations were his reset, retail drained him, shelves to stock, customers barking. So when spring hit, he booked a week off, solo, no plans but mountains. He scrolled forums late, coffee cold, and found it. Birch Ridge Trek, guided, $80 per day, remote. Photos showed jagged peaks, pine thickets, a trail off the grid, quiet, raw, his kind of break. He emailed, 3 days solo next week, and got a reply fast. Confirmed. Meet Cal at Trailhead, 8 a.m. Simple, cheap set. He drove out early, his sedan rattling, maps stuffed in the glove box. Phone signal died an hour back. The city faded, highways turned to dirt, the sky clear but sharp as he hit the ridge. Wind picked up, rustling the pines, the air cool and thin. By 7:50 a.m. he reached the trailhead, a gravel lot, a faded sign, a guy leaning on a truck, wiry, bearded, eyes quick. Cale parked crooked, grabbed his pack, boots, water layers, and crossed the lot, wind tugging his hood. You Cal? Cale said, voice low, the leaves rustling soft. The guy nodded. Yeah, you're Cale. Voice gruff, clipped, eyes flicking over him. He wore a faded jacket, boots scuffed, a pack slung loose, lived in steady. 3 days up the ridge, back by Wednesday, Cal said, nodding at the trail. Cale handed over $80, cash crumpled, and Cal pocketed it fast. Let's move. No chit-chat, no fuss. Cale liked that, kept it simple. The trail climbed quick, dirt packed, roots twisting, pines closing in. Wind whistled low, leaves crunching underfoot, the ridge rising sharp ahead. Cal led, pace steady, boots sure, pointing once. Stream there, camp tonight. Voice flat, no extras. Kale followed, pack light, breathing deep. Retails hum gone, just wind, trees, the trail stretching out. 3 days, $80 each, cheap solitude, a reset he'd earned. They hiked till noon, sun high, wind cool, the ridge opening to a ledge, peaks jagged in the distance. Cal stopped, break, and dropped his pack, pulling water, eyes scanning the trail back. Kale sat on a rock, drank slow. Quiet up here. And Cal nodded, always is. No smile, no push, just eyes quick, steady, like he'd clocked every step. Kale didn't mind, guides knew their ground, kept it real, but Cal's stare stuck a beat too long. The day dragged, wind steady, leaves rustling, the trail climbing higher. They hit the stream by dusk, clear, cold, cutting through the pines, Cal setting camp fast, tent up, fire small, no words wasted. Kale pitched his own, cheap, taut, the wind a low hum, the fire crackling faint. They ate, jerky, bread from his pack, Cal chewing slow, eyes on the trees, the dark creeping in. 3 days booked, 2 left, and the ridge felt alive, wind, leaves, Cal's stare holding steady. Night fell sharp, the wind picking up, rustling the pines. Kale crawled in, sleeping bag thin, ground hard, but Cal sat by the fire, still watching the dark. Sleep came slow, the tent flapping, the wind a steady drone, retail gone, mountains close, but a rustle hit, sharp, close, cutting the quiet. He sat up, breath shallow. Cal? Voice low, but the fire glowed empty, Cal's tent shut, the sound gone. He unzipped slow, the air cold. You hear that? But Cal's voice cut back. Dear sleep. Gruff, quick from his tent. Kale scanned, dark, trees swaying, leaves rustling, no shapes, no tracks. He zipped up, the wind humming, the rustle a thread he couldn't place. Dear, sure, but close, too close. Sleep dodged him, the ground cold, the tent tight, Cal's eyes flashing in his head, quick and steady. Morning came gray, the wind steady, the stream gurgling low. He crawled out, coffee instant bitter, boiled over the fire. Cal up, packing fast, eyes on the ridge. Rough night, Kale said, mug warm, and Cal shrugged. Quiet here. Voice flat, no trace of the rustle. The fire smoked, the wind rustled leaves, the trail stretching up. 2 days left, $80 each, and Kale felt it. Simple, raw, but Cal's stare lingered, a weight he couldn't shake. They broke camp, packs on, the wind cool, and hit the trail, the ridge climbing sharp. Cal led, boots sure, pace steady, eyes flicking back once. Keep up, gruff, short. Kale nodded, the wind a steady hum, the leaves crunching. The mountains his, 3 days booked, but the rustle stuck, Cal's eyes sharper now, watching. Kale couldn't shake the rustle. It clung to him from that first night, sharp, close, cutting through the wind's hum, a sound Cal brushed off as dear. The ridge felt tighter now, the pines closing in, Cal's quick eyes flicking back too often. 2 days left, $80 a night, a cheap reset, but the trail was shifting, the solitude bending. He liked raw, quiet, no crowds, but this was a thread, and it was tightening. He woke early, the sky gray, the wind rustling steady through the trees. Coffee helped, instant bitter, boiled slow over the fire, the stream gurgling low nearby. Cal packed fast, tent down, pack slung, eyes on the ridge, no trace of the rustle in his face. Sleep okay? Kale said, mug warm, and Cal nodded. Fine. Voice gruff, short, eyes flicking over him. The fire smoked, the wind hummed, the trail stretching up. 2 days, $80 each, and Cal's stare stuck, steady, sharp. They hit the trail, pines thick, dirt steep, the wind cool and constant. Cal led, boots sure, pace unrelenting, pointing once, ridge top by noon. Voice flat, no extras. Kale followed, pack light, breathing deep, the mountains raw, retails drone gone, but Cal's eyes turned back, quick, every few steps, like he was counting. Kale didn't mind guides, kept it safe, kept it real, but the stare grew, a weight he couldn't dodge. The day dragged, wind steady, leaves crunching, the ridge climbing sharp. They hit the top by noon, peaks jagged, a drop on one side, pines thinning out. Cal stopped, break, and dropped his pack, pulling water, eyes scanning the trail back. Kale sat, rock cold, wind tugging, drank slow. High up, and Cal grunted, highest point. No push, no chat, just eyes steady, locking on him too long. The wind whistled, the leaves rustled, the ridge open but tight, Cal's stare a hum in the quiet. They moved on, trail narrowing, wind sharper, the ridge dropping to a valley. Cal led, pace steady, boots scraping, eyes flicking back, stick close. gruff, quick. Kale nodded, the wind a steady drone, the leaves louder now. The mountains hiss, but Cal's rhythm felt off, too close, too sharp. They hit a clearing by dusk, flat, pine-ringed, a stream cutting through, Cal setting camp fast, tent up, fire small, eyes on the dark creeping in. Kale pitched his tent, taut, cheap, the wind humming, the fire crackling faint. They ate jerky bread, the stream trickling, the wind rustling steady. Cal chewed slow, eyes on the trees, then Kale. Quiet tonight. Voice low, flat. Kale nodded. Good. But the rustle flashed back sharp, close from last night. 2 days left, $80 each, and the ridge felt alive. Wind leaves, Cal's eyes holding him. Night fell thick, the wind picking up, rustling the pines. Kale crawled in, sleeping bag thin, ground hard. But Cal sat by the fire, still, watching the dark. Sleep came slow, the tent flapping, the wind a steady hum. Then a rustle hit, sharp, close, cutting the quiet. He sat up. Cal? Voice low, but no answer, the fire glowing dim, Cal's tent shut. The rustle scraped again, slow, deliberate, near the stream, too close. He unzipped slow, the air cold. That's no deer. But Cal's voice cut back. Wind, sleep, gruff, quick from his tent. Kale scanned, dark, pines swaying, leaves rustling. No shapes, no tracks, but the sound dragged, heavy, not wind. He zipped up, the wind humming, the rustle a knot in his head, too close, too real. Sleep dodged him, the ground cold, the tent tight, Cal's eyes flashing back, quick and steady. Morning came gray, the wind steady, the stream gurgling low. He crawled out, coffee bitter, boiled over the fire, Cal up, packing fast, eyes on the valley, last leg today. Voice flat. Heard something again, Kale said, mug warm, and Cal shrugged. Ridge noises, eyes flicking over him sharp. The fire smoked, the wind rustled, the trail dropping down. 1 day left, $80 paid, and Kale felt it, raw, quiet, but Cal's stare grew, a pull he couldn't shake. They broke camp, packs on, the wind cool, and hit the trail, the ridge falling to the valley. Cal led, boots steady, pace sharp, eyes turning back. Close now, gruff, short. Kale followed, the wind a steady hum, the leaves crunching, the mountains his, 3 days booked, but the rustle stuck, Cal's eyes tighter, watching. Kale couldn't trust the quiet anymore. The rustles, sharp at night, close twice now, piled up, a hum beneath the wind that Cal waved off too quick. The ridge tightened, the pines thicker, Cal's eyes flicking back too steady, too often. 2 days down, 1 left, $1.80 a day, a cheap break, but the trail was turning, the solitude a weight. He liked raw, quiet, no fuss, but this was a snag and it was sinking in. He woke late, the sky gray, the wind rustling loud through the pines. Coffee was a jolt, instant, bitter, boiled slow over the fire. The stream gurgling close, cutting the valley. Cal packed fast, tent down, pack slung. Eyes on the trail, no sign of the rustle in his stare. Rough night, Kale said, mug warm, and Cal grunted. Slept fine. Voice gruff, eyes flicking over him sharp. The fire smoked, the wind hummed, the valley dropping below. 1 day left, $80 paid, and Cal's stare stuck, a pulse he couldn't shake. They hit the trail, pines dense, dirt steep, the wind cool and steady. Cal led, boots sure, pace hard, pointing once. Camp down there tonight. Voice flat, no extras. Kale followed, pack light, breathing deep. The mountains raw, retail's buzz gone, but Cal's eyes turned back, quick, every step like he was tracking. Kale didn't mind guides, kept it safe, but the stare sharpened, a hook he couldn't dodge, the rustle echoing in his head. The day dragged, wind loud, leaves crunching, the valley falling sharp. They hit a ledge by noon, stream below, pines thinning, peaks fading back. Cal stopped, break, and dropped his pack, pulling water, eyes scanning the trail up. Kale sat, rock cold, wind tugging, drank slow. Steep drop, and Cal nodded. Last stretch. No push, no chat, just eyes steady, locking too long. The wind whistled, the leaves rustled, the valley open but tight, Cal's stare a hum in the quiet. They moved on, trail twisting, wind sharper, the valley closing in. Cal led, pace steady, boots scraping, eyes flicking back. Watch your step, gruff, quick. Kale nodded, the wind a steady drone, the leaves louder. The mountains hiss, but Cal's rhythm felt off, too close, too fixed. They hit the stream by dusk, cold, clear, cutting the valley, Cal setting camp fast. Tent up, fire small, eyes on the dark creeping in. Kale pitched his own, cheap, taut, the wind humming, the fire crackling faint. They ate jerky bread, the stream gurgling, the wind rustling steady. Cal chewed slow, eyes on the trees, then Kale. Last night up here. Voice low, flat. Kale nodded. Back tomorrow. But the rustle flashed back, sharp, close from the nights before. One day left, $80 paid, and the ridge felt alive. Wind leaves, Cal's eyes holding him tight. He didn't buy the wind line, too close, too real. And Cal's stare said more, a pull he couldn't place. Night fell thick, the wind picking up, rustling the pines. Kale crawled in, sleeping bag thin, ground hard, but Cal sat by the fire, still watching the dark. Sleep came slow, the tent flapping, the wind a steady hum. Then a rustle hit, sharp, close, cutting the quiet. He sat up. Cal? Voice low, but no answer, the fire glowing dim, Cal's tent shut. The rustle scraped again, slow, heavy, near the stream, too close, too steady. He unzipped slow, the air cold. That's not wind, and Cal's voice cut back. Ridge sleep, gruff, quick from his tent. Kale scanned, dark pines swaying, leaves rustling. A shape flickered, low, quick by the stream gone. His pulse ticked up, he zipped up, the wind humming, the rustle a knot. Too close, too real, not deer, not wind. Sleep dodged him, the ground cold, the tent tight, Cal's eyes flashing back, quick and sharp. Morning came gray, the wind steady, the stream gurgling loud. He crawled out, coffee bitter, boiled over the fire. Cal up, packing fast, eyes on the trail. Trailhead by noon, voice flat. Heard it again, Kale said, mug warm, saw something. Cal paused, shadows, eyes flicking over him steady. Ridge plays tricks. The fire smoked, the wind rustled, the valley stretching out. One day left, $80 paid, and Kale felt it, raw, quiet, but Cal's stare grew, a weight he couldn't shake. They broke camp, packs on, the wind cool, and hit the trail, the valley flattening slow. Cal led, boots steady, pace sharp, eyes turning back, close now, gruff, short. Kale followed, the wind a steady hum, the leaves crunching. The mountains his, 3 days booked, but the rustle stuck, Cal's eyes tighter, watching, holding. Kale couldn't dodge the shape. It flickered in his head, low, quick, by the stream last night. A mark the wind couldn't erase, a rustle Cal shrugged off too fast. The valley squeezed in, the pines denser, Cal's eyes flicking back sharper, steady, pinning him to the trail. 3 days down, check out tomorrow. $1.80 a day, a cheap reset, but the ridge was twisting, the quiet a weight. He liked raw, quiet, no crowds, but this was a pull, and it was digging deeper. He woke late, the sky gray, the wind rustling loud through the pines. Coffee was a crutch, instant bitter, boiled slow over the fire. The stream a faint hum behind. Cal packed fast, tent down, pack slung. Eyes on the trail, no trace of the shape in his stare. Saw something last night, Kale said, mug warm, and Cal grunted. Tricks up here. Voice gruff, eyes flicking over him sharp. The fire smoked, the wind hummed, the valley flattening out. One day left, $80 paid, and Cal's stare stuck, a pulse he couldn't shake. They hit the trail, pines thick, dirt leveling, the wind cool and steady. Cal led, boots sure, pace hard, pointing once. Trailhead by noon, voice flat, no extras. Kale followed, pack light, breathing deep. The mountains raw, retails buzz gone, but Cal's eyes turned back, quick, every step, like he was counting him in. Kale didn't mind guides, kept it safe, but the stare tightened, a hook he couldn't shake, the rustle and shape piling up. The day dragged, wind loud, leaves crunching, the valley opening slow. They hit a clearing by mid-morning. Stream gone, pines thinning, the ridge fading back. Cal stopped, break, and dropped his pack, pulling water, eyes scanning the trail up. Kale sat, rock cold, wind tugging, drank slow. Almost out, and Cal nodded, close. No push, no chat, just eyes steady, locking too long. The wind whistled, the leaves rustled, the valley wide but tight, Cal's stare a hum in the quiet. They moved on, trail widening, wind sharper, the valley flattening fast. Cal led, pace steady, boots scraping, eyes flicking back. Stay with me, gruff, quick. Kale nodded, the wind a steady drone, the leaves louder. The mountains his, but Cal's rhythm felt off, too close, too fixed. They hit a fork by noon, left to the trailhead, right deeper in, Cal pausing, eyes on Kale. Left's out, voice low, flat. Kale frowned. Right goes where? And Cal shrugged. Longer loop. Eyes steady, sharp. Kale nodded. Left then. The wind humming, the leaves rustling, but Cal lingered, eyes flicking to the right. Sure? Voice gruff, a beat too long. Yeah, back tomorrow. Cale said, pack shifting, and Cal turned. Left it is, boots moving slow, eyes still sharp. The trailhead was close, $1.80 paid, 3 days done. But the fork stuck, Cal's paws a thread, the shape by the stream flashing back. The trail stretched, pines thinning, wind steady, the lot near now. Cal led, pace slowing, boots dragging, eyes flicking back. Good trek, voice low, flat. Cale nodded. Yeah, but the rustles, the shape, Cal's stare, they weren't good, weren't quiet. They hit the lot by 1 p.m., gravel crunching, his sedan waiting, Cal's truck parked crooked, wind rustling the ridge behind. Cale dropped his pack. Done. Voice low, but Cal stood, eyes steady. Back tomorrow? Gruff, short. No, 3 days, Cale said, keys in hand, $1.80 each, paid up, but Cal's eyes held. Could stay. Voice low, a pull in it. Cale frowned. Work's calling. The wind humming, the leaves rustling, but Cal stepped closer. Ridge is quiet. Eyes sharp, steady. Cale shook it off. Good trip, thanks, and turned, the lot wide, the sedan close, but Cal's stare burned, a weight he couldn't drop. He loaded up, pack in, keys in, the wind steady, the trailhead empty. Cal watched still by his truck, eyes flicking once. See you. Voice gruff, flat. Cale nodded. Maybe. And started the car, the engine rumbling, the wind a soft hum. He pulled out, gravel crunching, the ridge fading, but Cal stood tall, still, eyes glinting in the rearview, a shape that didn't move. The drive stretched, wind gone, leaves behind, the city hours off. He didn't stop, coffee cold, the sedan rattling, the ridge a memory, Cal's stare a knot. 1 day left, checkout done, but the rustle lingered, the shape by the stream, Cal's could stay echoing. Cale couldn't shake Cal's stare. It burned from the trailhead, sharp, steady, glinting in the rearview as he pulled away. Could stay, echoing in his head. The ridge faded, the pines thinning, the wind a faint hum now, the valley lost behind. 3 days down, checkout today, $1.80 a day, a cheap reset, but the trail clung, the rustles and shapes await. He liked raw, quiet, no crowds, but this was a hook and it wouldn't let go. He drove steady, the dirt road rattling, the highway stretching gray. The wind eased, the leaves gone, the sedan's engine a low drone, retail waiting, the city close. Coffee was cold, in a thermos bitter sloshing, he sipped slow, the ridge replaying, rustles at night, the shape by the stream, Cal's eyes flicking back. 3 days, $80 each, paid, done, but Cal's see-you stuck, gruff, a pull he couldn't shake. The day dragged, highway blurring, the sky gray, the mountains shrinking in the mirror. He didn't stop, gas fine, coffee enough, the ridge a memory, but the shape flickered, low, quick by the stream, too close, too real. Cal's tricks up here didn't fit, deer didn't watch, wind didn't stare, and the fork lingered, Cal's pause at the longer loop, eyes sharp. Cale gripped the wheel, checkout noon, he'd made it, but the trail hummed, a thread he couldn't cut. He hit the city by dusk, traffic thick, lights glinting, his place small and stale. He parked, crooked, the lot quiet, and hauled his pack in, the wind gone, the leaves a distant rustle. Coffee brewed, black, instant bitter, to settle the edge, the couch creaking as he sank in, retail tomorrow, the grind back. 3 days, $80 each, a deal he'd paid for, but Cal's stare stuck, steady, the shape by the stream glinting in the dark. Sleep came slow, the couch lumpy, the city hum outside. He woke late, gray sky, work looming, and unpacked, boots, layers, no trace of the ridge. He checked his email. Birch Ridge Trek, $80 per day. Confirmed, done, no reply from Cal, no sign. He Googled it, forums vague, a trailhead pin, no guides named, no reviews. The ridge was real, 3 days, rustles Cal's eyes, but it blurred, a mark he couldn't place. The day dragged, coffee, a shower, back to the grind, shelves waiting. He didn't talk, work didn't care, friends wouldn't get it, but the trail hummed, Cal's could stay, a pulse in his head. He ate, ramen, quick, and sank onto the couch, the city noise a steady drone. 3 days done, the shape fading, but the stare held sharp, steady. He scrolled, trek sites, cheap trips, nothing like Birch Ridge, the ridge his, but gone. A week passed, work, sleep, routine, but the itch crept back, late, sharp. He drove out, Saturday, no plan, the highway stretching, the ridge a pull. He hit the trailhead by noon, gravel lot, faded sign empty, no truck, no Cal. The wind rustled, the pines swayed, the trail climbing up, quiet, raw, his kind of break. He stepped out, boots on, pack light, the wind humming, the leaves crunching, the ridge calling back. He hiked, trail familiar, pines thick, the wind steady, the rustle faint. No Cal, no guide, just him, the ridge his, 3 days a memory. He hit the stream by dusk, cold, clear, set camp fast, tent up, fire small. the wind a low hum, the leaves rustling soft. Sleep came slow, ground hard, tent flapping, the ridge quiet, the rustle gone. But a sound hit, sharp, close, cutting the dark. He sat up. Who's there? Voice low, the fire dim, the wind steady. A rustle scraped, slow, heavy by the stream, too close. He unzipped, air cold, boots on, and scanned, dark pines swaying. A shape flickered, tall, still by the trees, eyes glinting, then gone. His pulse spiked, he grabbed a stick. Cal. Voice hard, but the wind hummed, the shape vanished, the rustle fading. He zipped up, tent tight, the wind a drone, the ridge his, but not alone. Morning came gray, coffee bitter, fire out, the stream gurgling, the trailhead close. He broke camp, pack on, boots steady, and hiked out, wind rustling, the shape a knot. One day back, no $80, just him, but Cal's stare lingered. See you echoing, the guide who stayed. Cal couldn't outrun the shape. It stood by the trees, tall, still, eyes glinting, as he broke camp, the ridge fading behind, the rustle a mark he couldn't shake. The wind hummed low, the pines thinning, the trailhead close now, the stream a faint echo. 3 days booked, $80 each, cheap reset turned tight, and a fourth unpaid, pulling him back. He liked raw, quiet, no crowds, but this was a thread, and it held fast. He hiked out steady, the dirt path widening, the wind rustling soft through the leaves. Morning stretched gray, the trailhead hit by 10 a.m., his sedan waiting, the lot empty, no truck, no cow. Coffee was cold, in a thermos bitter. He sipped slow, the ridge replaying. Rustles at night, the shape by the stream, Cal's eyes flicking back. See you lingering. Checkout was done. 3 days paid, 1 extra claimed. But the shape stuck, a shadow he couldn't drop. The drive dragged, highway blurring, the sky clearing, the mountains shrinking in the mirror. He didn't stop, gas low, coffee gone, the ridge a memory, but the shape flickered, tall, still, by the trees, eyes glinting, too close. Cal's could stay, didn't fade, gruff, sharp, a pull he'd dodged, and the rustles piled up, 3 nights, 1 more, not deer, not wind. He gripped the wheel, retail tomorrow, the grind back, but the trail hummed, a weight he couldn't cut. He hit the city by noon, traffic thick, lights dull, his place small and stale. He parked, crooked, the lot quiet, and hauled his pack in, the wind gone, the leaves a distant rustle. Coffee brewed, black, instant bitter. To settle the edge, the couch creaking as he sank in, work waiting, the ridge behind. 3 days, $80 each, a deal he'd paid for, a fourth he hadn't. But Cal's stare stuck, steady, the shape by the trees glinting in the dark. Sleep came fitful, the couch lumpy, the city hum outside. He woke late, gray sky, shelves calling, and unpacked, boots, layers, no trace of the ridge but the itch. He checked his email. Birch Ridge Trek, $80 per day. Done, no follow-up, no Cal. He Googled deeper, forums thin, a trailhead pin, a post. Guide named Cal, sticks around, knows the ridge. No replies, no details, the trek was real, 3 days, 1 extra, but Cal blurred, a mark he couldn't pin. The day dragged, coffee, a shower, back to the grind, retail chewing his hours. He didn't talk, work didn't care, friends wouldn't buy it. But the ridge hummed, Cal's see you a pulse in his head. He ate, ramen quick, and sank onto the couch, the city noise a steady drone. 3 days done, 1 more burned in, the shape fading, but the stare held sharp, steady. He scrolled, trek sites, cheap trips, nothing like Birch Ridge, the ridge his but gone. A month passed, work, sleep, routine, but the itch crept back, late, sharp. He drove out, Sunday, no plan, the highway stretching, the ridge a pull he couldn't kill. He hit the trailhead by dusk, gravel lot, faded sign empty, no truck, no cow. The wind rustled, the pines swayed, the trail climbing up, quiet, raw, his kind of break. He stepped out, boots on, no pack, the wind humming, the leaves crunching, the ridge calling once more. He walked, trail familiar, pines thick, the wind steady, the rustle faint. No guide, no Cal, just him, the ridge his, 3 days a memory, 1 extra, a scar. He hit the stream by night, cold, clear. Sat on a rock, the wind a low hum, the leaves rustling soft. Sleep stayed away, ground hard, eyes open, the ridge quiet, the rustle gone, but a sound hit, low, close, cutting the dark. He stood. Who's there? Voice low, the wind steady, the stream gurgling. A rustle scraped, slow, heavy by the trees, too close. He scanned, dark pines swaying. A shape stood, tall, still, by the stream, eyes glinting, Cal's jacket catching the dusk. You're back, Cal said, voice gruff, flat, eyes steady, sharp. Cal froze. 3 days were enough. Voice hard, but Cal stepped closer. Ridge keeps you. Low, a pull in it. Cal turned. I'm out. Boots steady, the wind humming, the shape, Cal watching still. He hit the lot, car close, keys in, the engine rumbling, the ridge dark behind. Cal stood tall, still. eyes glinting in the rear view, a shape that didn't move. He drove off, gravel crunching, the highway stretching. The ridge left, Cal's see you and not the guide who stayed.